Hey guys, welcome to the Pyramyd Insider. I'm Tyler Patner. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Airforce Texan in .357 caliber. So the .357 caliber version of the Texan is relatively new. It's just come in within the last month or so, but it was proposed earlier at SHOT Show in 2016. The Texan as a platform, though, has been out for about a year and a half now, 45 being the original caliber, and then 308 and .357 being announced at SHOT Show. Still waiting on the 308, but we have the .357 version here to test. Now, I do have a fair bit of experience with the Texan, not only testing them in-house, but actually got to test a pre-production version a couple years back down in Texas at Air Force's plant. So very familiar to me, and shoot Air Force guns a lot here around the office as well. A nice American-made gun. So let's go over the gun, some specs, features, and obviously we'll get you all the pertinent info, accuracy, chrony testing, and we'll see how she does outside. So up front we have a 34-inch Lothar-Walther barrel. As you can see, it's a very long barrel, nests all the way back into the action. The gun overall is 48 inches, so it is very lengthy. That is really my only criticism in terms of size or weight of the Texan. It's not too heavy. Even with the scope here, feels like it's about 8.5 pounds or so. It's not too bad, and it points really nicely because most of your weight is in the back at the bottle and then at the scope as well. The frame on the Texan also relatively long, all aluminum though, even the rail here. We do have an 11mm dovetail up top. I would recommend getting yourself a riser base for it of some sort, either the Air Force Tri-Rail or like a BKL riser that we're using here. If you're not going to go that route and you want to keep your scope a little closer to the bore, definitely get yourself some high rings. The reason for that, it's all about cheek weld with the Texan here. And since you are actually resting your cheek directly on the bottle, having lower mounts, you're going to end up cricking your neck over like this. So with a higher mounted scope, it's a more natural alignment. Gives you just a more natural feel, especially since, I mean, you can see it here, that bottle's pretty rounded, so when you put your face on it, it is a bit of a weird feel at first, but you get used to it. It does have this nice wrap on it, though, so you're not touching cold metal or anything like that, and you have the plastic grip here on the fore end just to give you something to hold on to. The trigger setup on the Texan, much like all the other Air Force guns, two-stage. It does have a little bit of creep in the second stage. We'll put it on the tester though for you and get the weight and everything. Automatic safety up front that engages when you cock the rifle, and the most unique part about the Texan is the cocking system. So to cock the gun, you actually just pull forward on this bolt and it snaps into place there. It's super easy. There's no weight to it or anything. Just nice and smooth. And then you'd go ahead and load your projectile into the breech tray here and push forward. You just want to make sure you seat it. We'll show you that on the range. And then you just come back and close it. And that's where you're feeling the bulk of your hammer spring tension. It's really nothing at all though. This is probably the easiest big bore to cock on the market that I've ever touched. And it's very, very nice in that regard, and actually relatively quiet as well. You don't have a loud, click or thunk out of it, which is nice for when you're in the field. You can also decock the gun, so you can see it's on safe here. You just want to bring it back ever so slightly so you can take it off safe. If it's all the way forward here, it actually won't allow you to do so. So we take it off safe, squeeze the trigger, you see it jump back just a little, and then you're good, all safe. The fill system, this is the standard spin lock bottle here. It attaches with the special wrench that comes with the gun here. It comes in two separate pieces, so you can always take the bottle off if you need to for transportation. But you got our male quick disconnect fitting with our little rubber cover here to keep dust and debris out. You simply attach your hose there and you're good to fill. Have a gauge on the other side here. We have the gauge here, reads in PSI only. This is a 3000 PSI fill gun. And on the end of the bottle here, we have a very simple butt pad design, little piece of rubber there on the back just to keep it nice and soft against your shoulder. You can actually adjust this for length of pull as well via these two screws here. It's on a clamp system, so you loosen those up. You can slide it back just a little bit if you need to. Nice little bit of adjustment there. On top we have the Hawk Vantage 4-12x40 scope mounted on this. It does have their mil dot reticle in there, and it is glass etched. Nice little scope. Figured it wouldn't add too much weight to the rifle, and something I would probably like to use in the field myself. And as I said earlier, we do have it on top of a BKL riser just to lift it up a little bit and make it more comfortable. But we're going to go out to the range now. We've selected 3 different slugs today to shoot. I've tested about 8 in this gun and found these 3 to do the best really on target. But let's head out to the range, check it out, and see the performance of the Airforce Texan in .357. All right, so taking a look at these groups, not too bad. The round ball, the initial 5-shot group was a little bit bigger than we thought, but we had those 3 clustered there, and those were, I want to say 3 out of the last 4 shots out of that 5-shot group. I decided to shoot another one, and actually the first 2 shots both went in the same hole there, and those pretty much match up. So, you know, if you're in the right pressure range on this with those round balls, they're actually quite accurate. Overall though, you know, you got to be really careful about where you're at in terms of the fill pressure on the gun. Say from like 26 down to 22 is where it's most consistent with them. Out of the 127 grain flat nose, about a 2-inch group. Not bad, punch nice clean holes. You guys got to remember, you're going after relatively large game with this. You know, even a coyote, this is certainly sufficient at 45 yards. And then the nozzlers, the 145 grains, first 4 shots right in here, about 1.5 inch spread, and then that last one dropped off as the pressure dropped away there. So I'd say, you know, first 5 shots out of this gun on a 3000 PSI fill, you're gonna get 5 pretty consistent shots out of any of these slugs. And obviously there's some custom molds out there as well, but I think these are more than sufficient for taking, you know, anything really coyote-sized game it up. 2 pounds, 13.5 ounces. 2 pounds, 13.5 ounces. 2 pounds, 13.7 ounces. So 2 pounds, 13.5 ounces for all intents and purposes. All right, Airforce Texan in 357. Pretty impressive numbers, about 260 foot-pounds out of these 145 grain nozzlers. I'd say probably the 127 grain flat points shot best. There's a ton of different ammo available on the market for this. Like I said, we have like 8 or 9 different slugs and pellets even, JSB 35 cals that'll work in this as well. But you're gonna have to try it out for yourself. I'm sure, you know, you're gonna have some variance in what shoots well. But you know, roughly 1.5 to 2-inch groups at 45 yards, this is gonna be more than accurate enough to take coyotes. You're packing plenty of power if you wanted to get into some like whitetail deer or pigs. You know, this gun is going to be able to do a lot of different things. And like I said, there's some custom molds out there for big bore ammo and some other providers that are able to provide even heavier slugs to get you more energy. So there's a lot of variability with this platform and things that this is going to work great for. Only gripes I really have with the gun, the trigger, I really don't care for it. The second stage has just a little bit of creep in it, and it's a little bit heavy for my liking. That said, at 2 pounds, 13.5 ounces, 2 out of the 3 times we pulled it, it's super consistent. So this is a true hunting gun. Gets a good fair number of shots. I'd say 7 to 10 consistent shots that are gonna be good enough for hunting with. Not gonna throw you too much there. I'd stay closer to 5 though if I'm really looking for my most precision out of that. And obviously with a lighter weight slug or a round ball, the 66 gram round balls are gonna get you a few more shots. The Hawk scope performed nicely. It's a nice addition. I would try and keep your scope a little light on this so you don't throw the balance off too much. But other than that, I gotta say the Texan is a nice new offering in this 357 platform. Really like it quite a bit, and if you're looking for something to go hunting with and have a lot of versatility to take different animals, the Texan in 357 is gonna be a really good option, so check it out. But that's about it for the Pyramyd Insider this time, guys. I'm Tyler Patner. We'll see you at the next one.